And tonight, with a major shakeup for the ASU football team, Herm Edwards is out. The former NFL coach let go after just 4+ seasons on the sideline in Tempe.
We have team coverage tonight covering all angles of this announcement.
We start with our sports team. Colin Harmon and two-time Super Bowl champ Mark May are breaking down what Herm's departure means for this year's team and the program long term. Guys?
Zach, thank you. 3 games into his 5th season in Tempe, last night's ugly loss to Eastern Michigan was the point of no return for Herm Edwards, concluding what has been a frustrating era for Sun Devils fans. ASU Athletic Director Ray Anderson discussed that decision to part ways with Herm this afternoon.
Toughest day of my professional career, no question about it, to have to separate from Herm Edwards, but we've known each other a long time and we've always been very honest. We did not get it done here at the level that any of us aspired to. And when it's time for change, you make the change. And so we feel like for this current team, for our future, for our staff, for our university, this is the appropriate change at the appropriate time.
The appropriate change at the appropriate time, Mark.
I don't think it was the appropriate time. If you look what Herm's been able to do over the time that he's been here, think about it. He's been here 3 full seasons. He's taken this team to bowl games all 3 seasons. Forget the COVID season when they were 2-2. Yes, it was disappointing that they came into this game with a loss to Eastern Michigan. They stunk the joint at plain and simple. The first half, they gave up over 300 yards to a team that they should have been rolling over the entire game. They rushed for over 300 yards against this Arizona State defense at home. You paid for this team to come up from Ypsilanti, there it is, Michigan, to come in here and play Arizona State. That's supposed to be a confidence builder, and it wasn't. And they got pushed around, they got beat at home. That was one of the reasons why he was let go.
Mark, but I'm going to play devil's advocate here. Sun Devils fans, I mean, they could argue that you wanted him out the door at the end of last year. They were 8-5 in that season, and I know Ray Anderson said today, a lot of teams around the country would have taken 8 wins.
Absolutely, and you look at this program, this isn't a program that's been embedded with national championships, Pac-12 championships. It's not a USC, not an Oregon or a Washington. So when you look at this program, what are your expectations? You want to play for national championships every year? Everyone does. This program just hasn't had that in its history in the past.
I just think there was a disconnect there that was clear, and it was brought up in the press conference that there was no determination on this ASU football team. It looked like everybody was going through the motions. At some point, when you're paying $1.5 million to a school to come play you, to get tuned up to go play Utah and USC the next 2 weeks, and you look like that, I mean, there was nowhere else they could have turned at that point.
But you have to go back and look what's happened in the offseason. When you lose Jaden Daniels, your quarterback, and other players that left the program, you look at the recruiting, it's been down. It's one of the worst recruiting classes they've had in over decades. So when you put the total picture together, this team just wasn't going in the right direction. And losing at home to Eastern Michigan was it. That was all that they could stand because the fans wouldn't take it anymore.
All right, through 4 seasons and 3 games, Herm Edwards had a 26-20 record. He was owed $3.4 million this year, $3.6 million next year, and $3.8 million the year after that. Zach?
Yeah, that's a lot of money, guys. I got a question for you. As we know, the NCAA investigation into illegal recruiting practices, that's ongoing. Do you think that was a factor here at all?
I don't think it was a factor in him getting fired. I think it was Eastern Michigan and looking like that. I think the big factor is going to be now looking at who they're going to hire as their next head coach. Who do you bring in when you have this dark cloud looming over your program?
This is not an attractive job right now. If you're a top assistant coach, why would you take this job? If you're any head coach out there that wants to transfer, why would you take this job? Because you look at this conference may not be the Pac-12 in 2 years. Who knows?
All right, we're going to get into more of maybe who the Arizona State Sun Devils are looking at to take over for Herm Edwards. By the way, I'll say this, Zach, Sean Aguano, the running backs coach right now, who was a former Chandler High School head football coach just 4 years ago, is the interim coach for the remainder of the season for the ASU Sun Devils.
That's a tough position to be in. Guys, thank you for that coverage. Continue our team coverage, though. Eleni Dow live in Tempe tonight with how exactly Sun Devil fans are taking this news. Eleni, what are you hearing?
Well, yes, some Sun Devil fans I spoke with today had some mixed reactions about the news. Now, one fan I spoke with said he was surprised about this news. Now, a few others say this was not unexpected, especially as they lost to Eastern Michigan just last night. It was the 3rd game of the season and the 2nd ASU loss in a row. One ASU alum tells me Edwards was a, quote, interesting hire. He isn't surprised Edwards is no longer the coach and says he's been feeling apathetic about the team for quite some time now, especially after the NCAA investigation, though ASU leadership did not discuss further details about the investigation today.
I'm from Michigan myself, and Eastern Michigan is one of the worst schools in Michigan, and they still beat us. But we just don't have the horses this year.
It's hard for a coach that's already kind of in a difficult position to survive a loss like what happened last night. You know, I thought maybe they might let him ride the rest of the season out.
The Sun Devils will take on Utah next weekend with their new interim coach, Sean Aguano. Now, with 2 losses under the belt this season, some fans tell me they are still hopeful for what's to come, especially as they move forward without Edwards. Of course, we'll have more information and more fan reaction tonight at 10. Now, live in Tempe, I'm Eleni Dow, ABC 15, Arizona.